probably your previous jobs, if you can.
James, you can kick it off.
Yeah, sure. So my name's James. I live in North Sydney area, and I currently still work in my job. I'm a corporate lawyer, so I work in banking and finance.
Amazing.
And hi, I'm Brendon. Me and James are family friends. We go way back. I currently also work as well. I work in finance. And then me and James sort of started this as a sort of a side hustle, side business type thing.
Yeah, sweet. So when you guys were
You're
actually
just cutting out,
looking
mate, a little bit.
into this, so when you guys were actually looking into this, right?
Mm.
Right? What was that
Yep.
like? That push? That like, okay, let me give it a go. What was the mindset there, guys?
I can actually explain that. I was actually on holiday in China, and I'd come across one of Jordan's videos. I'd always been thinking about side hustles for a long time, and I've done little ones here and there over the years, like for example, tutoring and trying to sell things like shoes back in the day and little things like that. And I just thought, looking into this, it made a bit more sense from a practical perspective, because I've always thought about, I use Airbnb, and I've always acknowledged it's expensive, but you're basically paying a premium for not having to have all those lease obligations, essentially. And so it kind of made sense, and I thought Brendon would be a good business partner because, when you deal with your friends, I feel like there can be a bit of an issue. But I've known Brendon for a long time, so I thought it'd be a good way. And we're both pretty driven individuals. Our families know each other very well, so it just made sense, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Just noticing you guys grow and like really pushing for your first property was amazing. If you could guys just share your story there, like what was the process, like how long it took you guys, and like that first property win that you just got.
Yep, sure. So we joined, I'd say mid-November. It was about mid-November we started making our first calls and got through all the modules. I think at the start we didn't really think about how hard it was going to be at least in Sydney. But we sort of kept each other accountable, tracked our calls, how many we were making, how many applications we were doing. It was difficult because we had Christmas period. I went overseas and, we worked full time. So during work hours, it is difficult to make those calls. But I'd say that after maybe just under 2 months of active calling, James actually managed to sort of secure this booking. Along the way, there were a few, false yeses and that sort of thing, but that's sort of expected in this sort of business. But in the end, sort of through guidance with our mentors and, just reaching out to the community, which has actually been super helpful. They've all given us tips and tricks and who to call, what to look at, what to avoid. So that's ultimately how we got to land our first property.
Yeah, guys, really smashed it. Really proud of you boys.
I think one thing I want to add as well is, at the end of the day, it is a big luck factor, because I got to know this agent very well, and it was just a case of, this is a great property. They'd had two people really close to signing a lease, like really about to put pen to paper, and then for whatever reason they backed out, and it really frustrated the owner to be so close and then to go through all the DD process with these two people. And so even though the owner was more of a traditional person, it was just, we were there. We had like pretty high paying jobs, so we wouldn't have any issues with rent. And we were ready to put pen to paper as soon as they gave the okay. So I think it's like, obviously you make your own luck. Like I'd say we probably made like 500 calls, and we probably got like 15 somewhat yeses and then like 5 inspections. So it really is easy to get demotivated. Like, for example, you see in the group people saying, I've been doing this for a week, no one's saying yes, we want to quit, we want a refund. And, at the end of the day, it's really easy to go down that path. Like me and Brendon were pretty close, I think, to quitting at some point. We were like, fire, we've been 2.5 months. We've been putting aside work and having to work to the AM because we didn't get work done during the day because we were calling these agents and they were telling us to piss off. Like, it's really demotivating at the time. But once you make that breakthrough and get that first property, like, you know, for example, like Brendon had a few properties, and then, you know, there'd be like a commercial toilet and a commercial kitchen, and, you know, there's just all these issues that just come along the way. And ironically, the one that we actually landed was probably our best prospect.
Yeah, really good. Like some students, it might even take them like 1 week, we've noticed, and some students it could even take on average like 1 or 2 months, right? So like
Yeah.
for you guys, like you really push through it. It's like how rewarding is it now actually that you got your first property?
Well, it'll be very rewarding when we get that first booking.
Mm,
For now,
mm.
it's just, you know, we're
But
really
yeah,
happy, obviously.
Yeah.
But
yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's it feels good to know that we've got on one that we're both 100% like proving of, and it's one that we like, we know it will do well, you know, we've got everyone's support. But yeah, we're really happy with this first one. It sort of just ticks the box that this is actually a business that is feasible as well.
Yeah, really good, guys. Probably share maybe your favorite things like we provide in the mentorship. Could be like modules, the mentors, anything.
James, you can go first.
yeah, I think the main point that I really enjoy is seeing everyone post their issues, because there's a lot of issues that you don't really think about when you're kind of just making calls and, you know, you haven't rented a property before. Like, for example, I've never rented a property before this. I lived at home and then I just moved out into an apartment that I bought. So I've never had that issue with, I guess, being a tenant. And so seeing all these issues like, oh, being locked out, you know, managing cleaners, managing guests that are difficult, not responsive, not picking up, seeing how people are dealing with those issues in real time is really helpful, I think. And honestly, the mentors have been good. Like, for example, initially we were having trouble and, you know, we connected with yourself, Umit, and you've been very willing with your time, you know, answering our questions, you know, calling us every week, motivating us. And that's actually probably been a big difference as well, like giving us practical tips. We only started applying, like just mass applying with our applications after you gave us that advice. And I feel like that really made a difference, because that's essentially how we landed this property. I sent a random application that I didn't expect any reply on. She replied saying, oh, can you show me some of your other properties? And then I said, there are no other properties. and I was like full expecting her to just say, okay, well, bye then. But she was, you know, interested. I gave her a call, kind of explained my background, how, you know, we plan to do business, and it actually worked out. So it's just kind of just taking a stab in the dark sometimes.
Yeah, really good, really good. All
And
right.
just, yeah, that's exactly what echo exactly what James said.
Yep, sweet. Now imagine someone's on the fence, right? They want to try the mentorship or they want to try to get into this business model. What would you probably tell them?
I'll
You
let
go,
Brendon
James.
go.
Okay.
Maybe
It's really just at the end of the day, it's how bad you want it. I think for me and James, although, you know, both of us work pretty well-paying jobs in sort of good industries that we definitely build, but both of us, I think at the core, we wanted to build something that we could put our name on. And that's really what kept us motivated through sort of the troughs and the highs, through all the calling and, you know, everything, going to inspections. So at the end of the day, it's really how bad you want it. But if you are leaning towards this is something that you're willing to put time in, you know, you're willing to have late nights furnishing or taking time to update a core, it's the right community and you have the right people around you that are all doing the same thing. And that's really motivating to see. And just seeing people's wins and their problems and how everyone helps to fix them is really what keeps us going into the community. And it's just, yeah, it feels good to all win together, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely. All right, guys, that was your last question. Thank you, guys.
Awesome.
Thank you for your time. I'll see you next time.
All right. Thank you.